Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing 3 fall Dollar Tree DIYs that I hope you all love. So let's just go ahead and get into it. Alright, so for the first DIY, I'm going to be taking one of these really cool Dollar Tree frames, and the first thing I'm going to have to do is remove all of the contents from the frame. So the next step was to take some scrapbooking paper. Now I got mine from Hobby Lobby, but you could use any type of paper that you wanted. And then I just took that mat that I took out of the frame earlier, and I'm just tracing that out onto the back of my paper, and then I'm just using a pair of scissors to cut it. So once that was done, I'm going to be taking some apple barrel acrylic paint, and the paint I get is from Walmart and it's only like 50 cents a bottle, so really cheap. And then I just took a little cup and a popsicle stick and then mixed the paints together until I got like a burgundy red color. And then I'm going to be using some of Dollar Tree's like color your own little clips. And these are great because if you do a thin coat of paint on them, you can still see the lines printed on the clips, which is what I wanted. And then since I wanted to give that piece of paper that I just cut out a little more like stability or thickness, and in a moment you'll see why, I just took some of this like brown cardstock paper and I traced it out again and then cut it out. And then I'm using some of Dollar Tree's Jot double-sided tape to kind of attach the two together. I would definitely suggest using some glue sticks or even a hot glue gun, but I couldn't find my glue, so I ended up just using some of Dollar Tree's Jot double-sided tape instead. And then I'm going to be putting the piece of paper and the cardstock on top of each other and then just rubbing my hand over it to make sure it's nice and secure. And then the reason I'm doing that is because I'm actually going to be putting this paper back into the frame and not using the glass, so I wanted to give that piece of paper a little bit more stability with the cardstock. And then I also tacked down the corners with a little bit of hot glue just to make sure everything was secure. So next I'm going to be putting everything back into the frame except for the glass, and then just making sure to push down those little metal tabs all the way so that the backing is secure. Then once my little clip is dry, I'm just going to be putting a ton of hot glue on the back and then pushing it down and making sure it's secure, kind of like in the middle top of my frame. And I also glued down the corners of my backing, just a little bit of hot glue to make sure it wasn't going anywhere. And this is how it looks when it's all done. I think it's my favorite DIY I've ever made for fall, but we'll see. So for the second DIY, I'm going to be using one of Dollar Tree's wood pumpkins. I feel like these are super cool because they have those like 3D wood features on them. But after removing the tag and that little raffia bow, I'm going to be giving it a good coat of paint. And this is Waverly chalk paint in the color of pumpkin, and it is from Walmart. Then I just use some more of Waverly's antiquing wax, and I put a little bit on a paper towel using a brush, and then I just lightly rubbed it kind of on those side 3D pieces just to give it a little bit of dimension. For decoration, I'm going to be doing a couple of different things. So to start out, I just made a bow using some black and white buffalo check ribbon, but you can use any ribbon you like. Dollar Tree also has some really pretty kinds out right now. And then I just took one of their metal letters. These come in like a 3-pack, and I took the word harvest and gave it a coat of ink chalk paint from Waverly. As you can see while I was painting this, it kind of gives you like a grain to where it's almost, I don't know what the word is, you can see some metal through there, and I was totally okay with that. But if you want more of like a solid finish, definitely just use some spray paint. And I went ahead and just cut some leaves off of Dollar Tree's picks using a pair of cutters. There's these really cool maple leaves that are like orange and red, and then just some kind of like multicolored ones. And then I also went ahead and added in some green leaves just from like a multi-pack from Dollar Tree. And then after tacking down my bow that I made, I just dovetailed the ends, I guess you could say, and trimmed them down. So I was happy with like how long they were. And then I also tacked down my harvest bird with some hot glue and then touched it up a little bit in a couple of places just with a really tiny brush. Since I actually wanted this fall DIY to stand up, I'm just taking some of Dollar Tree's Jenga blocks and then some more of that Waverly Antique Wax and staining 2 of them, just brushing it on with a little brush and then wiping it off with a paper towel. And this is the final product, you guys. I really like it, and I'll definitely be using this for fall. So for the third DIY, I'm going to be taking one of these little houses and then just peeling off that sticker on top. So at first I wanted to make the background, I guess you could say, this paper, but it was just not working out. I tried making creases and cutting them and just don't do it. So instead I took some of Waverly's Crimson paint and I just used a paintbrush and painted around the edges. About an inch or so in. Doesn't really matter as long as you get like a good ½ inch. And this did take 2 coats, and you really want to make sure that you allow the coats to dry thoroughly in between. So the piece of paper I ended up gluing onto here with my glue gun, I actually just used the piece of paper I've been using before, but I used the mat from the very first DIY in this video to make sure that the top was nice and straight and that the very top was a perfect triangle. And then to decorate this house, I'm just using some of Dollar Tree's berry garland that they have out right now. I basically just wrapped it around my fingers until it formed a circle that I was happy with, and then I took one of their trucks and cut off that little wire hanger with just a pair of cutters and then hot gluing the truck onto the wreath and then the wreath onto the house, and then also taking some of Dollar Tree's twine, wrapping it around the back and then tying it in a bow in the front, and then tacking that bow down with just a little bit of hot glue on the back, and then kind of fiddling with it a little bit, removing the tails until I was happy with it. And then this is how it looks when it is all done. Alright everyone, that is it for today's video. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and hit subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!